will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Indeed, a trial for Mr. Ray is our last hope to reveal the truth about my husband's assassination.
December 8th, 1999. After about an hour of deliberations of a civil trial in Memphis, Tennessee, 12 jurors reached the verdict that the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination was the result
of a conspiracy.
Throughout the long and difficult period of Watergate, I have felt it was...
Alright, James Earl Ray is the supposed killer of Martin Luther King. On April 4th, 1968, with a single shot from a Remington 30-06 rifle. Ray is a confirmed racist with a slight criminal history. He has no money, but he can single-handedly afford to orchestrate the assassination of one of the most influential people in the United States at the time, purchase a shiny white Mustang, and flee authorities through a 5-country manhunt for over 2 months. Alright, the motives for James Earl Ray to assassinate Martin Luther King. He was a confirmed racist, a small-time criminal, and he was not fond of the desegregation that Martin Luther King was bringing to the United States. Also, he had a very poor upbringing, and he was crazy. Alright, side note here. While James Earl Ray was dying from hepatitis C in jail, Dexter King, which was Martin Luther King's son, talked to him, spoke to him, shook his hand. That's how convinced Dexter was that he was not part of Martin Luther King's assassination. Now back to the civil trial in 1999 in Memphis. And here are some of the motives that the United States government would have for assassinating Martin Luther King Jr. Alright, a lot of conspiracies involve Lloyd Jowers, which he owned a restaurant located next to the Lorraine Motel where MLK was assassinated. It's hard to believe anything that comes out of this guy's mouth. He flip-flops all the time, and a lot of his information kind of contradicts things that he said in the past. But a lot of evidence does suggest that he was involved in the murder in some way. As far as the FBI and their motive for being involved in the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., there is far more evidence pertaining to why they would have a hand in the matter. They had been tapping Martin Luther King Jr. for years. They knew where he was going to be, what he would be speaking about, everything about him. They said that he had ties to the Communist Party. What a crock of After the King's famous I Have a Dream speech in 1963, the FBI then stated, as I quote, "The most dangerous and effective Negro leader in the country." That just goes to show you how shitty and corrupt the government is. He was powerful beyond belief. He had so much influence on this nation, and the United States government does not like that. They don't like when someone has power that is not in their control. He was a man that wanted to serve others. He wasn't doing this for fame. He wasn't doing this for power. He was doing this for the betterment of the country, for people of the United States. It's sad that our government wants so much control that they will eliminate the threat if it will take an ounce of power away from them. They want their thumb right on your forehead. And I mean that literally and metaphorically speaking. Whether you want to believe it or not, the government controls our media. They control our news. 99% of the people of this nation are brainwashed into believing what they want you to believe. Unfortunately, we have no say in how this country is run. If you believe that by you voting an elected official into the White House, into Congress, for your state government, your federal government. It's all a facade. They're ultimately going to do what they want to do for more power.
Our government wants nothing more than power,
and they will do anything to keep the status quo.
Emergency broadcast in progress. This is not a test. This is not a test. This message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense for the United States government. Under penalty of federal law, you are not allowed to think for yourselves and must believe everything we tell you.
Do I believe that James Earl Ray committed the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., that he was competent enough to orchestrate a murder of one of the most influential people of that period? I absolutely do not think that he acted alone, if he acted at all. With the wiretapping on Martin Luther King, the United States government never found an ounce of proof that he was tied to the Communist Party. How convenient. When the FBI found out that Martin Luther King was going to win the Nobel Prize in 1964, they had actually sent him an anonymous letter, this is in the FBI archives, that they were going to damn his reputation and let the world see exactly, I forget exactly what it says, but it was basically the notion that he should kill himself or that they would release damning evidence on the king that would ruin his reputation and everything that he stood for. With over 70 witnesses, in addition to Mr. Jowers, that the state, the federal, and the mafia all had ties to a conspiracy for Martin Luther King Jr. They were involved in a conspiracy with an abundance of information that James Earl Ray was not in fact the shooter, and he was used as a scapegoat
in this conspiracy.